Yeah. So, Arjun, would you like to go ahead first?
I believe it's the thing. The format is for first and then against.
It can be either way. Purvi, could you go
Okay.
first then?
I would like to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Purvi, and I will be speaking for the notion. So, I would be putting forward some compelling arguments that I can think of. Firstly, have you ever stopped to consider the influence of social media platforms that they have on our daily lives, especially during election seasons, like the type of content the companies put out and the parties put out? With billions of users worldwide, these platforms have become a primary source of information and communication. As a result, they wield immense power in shaping public opinion, making them a prime target for political campaigns and advertisers. But without proper regulation, as we're talking of right now, this influence can lead to manipulation and even exploitation of users, especially vulnerable groups like the remote areas of India who are, less informed about politics and they just rely on the type of campaigns the parties put out. Now, let's ponder on the role of political advertising on social media. Have you ever noticed how political ads seem to know exactly what issues matter to the public? This is because social media platforms collect vast amounts of data about their users, about the people they are targeting, about their target audience. However, without proper regulation, this precision can be misused to spread misinformation and also false claims about candidates and policies, which can have a severe consequence on our democracy. Now, I would like to present some statistics to support my case. Did you know that there was a study by Pew Research Center found that 22% of Americans get their news about politics and government from social media? This highlights the importance of maintaining the integrity of information shared on these platforms, including political advertisements. Moreover, a study from Knight Foundation revealed that 78% of Americans believe that social media companies have a responsibility to prevent the spread of false information during elections. This clearly demonstrates that responsible regulation of political advertising can not only protect democracy but also earn the trust of the public. As we move forward, I have another statistic to present. A study by Oxford Internet Institute found that in 2016 US presidential election, social media platforms were infiltrated by foreign actors spreading false information. This highlights the vulnerability of democratic process to manipulate through social media platforms and the need for better regulation of political advertising. Furthermore, I would like to say a report by the Royal Society for Public Health in the United Kingdom, who found that social media platforms have detrimental impact on their mental well-being as well, with 71% of participants believing that social media negatively affects their anxiety and depression. While this statistic does not directly relate to political advertising regulation, it underscores the importance of social media platforms taking responsibility for the content they host, including political or ads. Sorry. Lastly, um, I would like to conclude by saying that it is evident that social media platforms should regulate public advertising to safeguard their users from manipulation, misinformation, and even exploitation. By doing so, they will not only uphold their responsibility as influential entities in shaping public discourse, but also contribute to a more informed and responsible society. It is our collective duty as citizens to encourage and support these platforms in implementing effective regulatory measures for betterment of all. So that was my argument. Thank you so much.
Um, may I begin my speech?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Arjun Dwivedi, and sorry. Good evening. My name is Arjun Dwivedi, and I would like to go against the motion. Imagine you write an essay about a political topic you wish, and then you decide to publish it. But oh no, the publishing house, without your consent, decides to edit the the content and then publish it, which is a clear violation of your rights to expression. What you, as a logical citizen, do? You would actually either you would do two things: either you'd sue the thing, sue the publishing house, or you would raise a notice against the government. Now, why am I mentioning this? Now, in the same way, if you imagine you were to download an app which you pay via ads and your time, because ads, that's how these social media apps earn their money. So you are, in theory, paying them money. Your existence is paying them money. And then you were to give your opinion, your same opinion, on that same essay on that social media, but that was to get censored. In both these cases, if we were to look at the first case, if you were to sue the publishing house, you'd be labeled as a good bearing citizen for not letting any your political speech be thrown over the way. But if you were to sue the media company in the second case, then you would be, the media company is protecting rights. It's protecting the people, apparently. How do social media apps hold responsibility over the content? They don't. There are multiple cases in which it has been defined social media apps do not hold any responsibility over their content and thus shouldn't regulate it. Another point I would like to mention is that there is in India, under the IT Act, there is a stance in which there's a point in which the government can remove certain pieces of information and certain texts. Now, this censorship, we say, well, censorship doesn't exist on social media currently. That's the reason this motion has been brought up. But I would say no, censorship does exist. And if we were to regulate it even more, as said by the motion, it would be incredibly terrible for our democracy. Guess how many protests are going in the nation currently? There are 13 protests going in the nation, spanning over 4 lakh individuals. Out of those 14 protests, 2 are about the freedom of speech, yet we do not know most of them. Paper doesn't have regulations. Why should the communication of the new age have regulations? Thank you.
All right. If you want to add more points, you can, or maybe you can cross question each other.
Can I go ahead with the cross questioning?
Yes, sure.
So Arjun, I had a question for you. As you mentioned, a situation where you publish an essay about your political opinion and the app edits it and publishes it. In my lived experiences, I have never faced anything like this, and I would like to inquire from you which app or which website does this, because whenever I have faced such a situation and if the content goes against the community guidelines, it is taken down and I am mailed that this so and so for so and so reasons this content was taken down, and I don't take it as offensive or derogatory. So I would like to know from you which app or server does that.
So if you were to, I did not use the words edit, I used the word censor. So there was no editing of speech mentioned. There was complete removal of the speech. And as of my experience, I have stayed off social media for most of my life. And I don't know much about it in a practical sense, but I do know some cases. And there's a friend of mine few days ago was telling about some person named Andrew Tate who got removed from Instagram and all. So I'm using his example. I don't know what he said, but I'm using that example as you can use that example. Yeah.
content went against the community guidelines. That is the reason why he was taken down on social media, right?
I am unsure about that, Prof.
The thing you mentioned was a claim.
I mentioned that it has been previously observed that speeches have parts, texts have been known to be removed. Now, when they say community guidelines, it can either be removed by government notice or by the self-administration. We don't know that. The claim I was mentioning is I was referring this from that situation. I'm not claiming anything. Purvi, I have a question first. So when you were mentioning regulations, regulations have been known to be taken out of context and have been known to be censoring the views of the individual. So if say say I'm wrong in this context, would you suggest any method which would protect the media, protect the people while also maintaining this freedom of speech? Also, I would like to add a point, which I would a note, which that media companies are not liable for the content posted on their websites and therefore cannot be sued in that response. So I would like you to acknowledge that fact.
Okay, so about your question that the ways they should moderate their content. While this is true that we must acknowledge the immense responsibility the social media platforms hold in shaping public discourse, by providing a platform for advertising, they indirectly influence the choices and opinions of the users. I never mentioned anything about restricting freedom of speech, but all the points I mentioned were if they went against the community guidelines or spread information and false claims. That's my answer.
Sorry, I didn't. Could you elaborate in your sense? Because as I said, companies do not have any responsibility as per the IT Act of India. So, acknowledging that fact, could you just reiterate?
So that's what we're arguing about, right? The social media platforms must regulate public advertising. So my argument is that it is crucial for them to regulate public advertising to prevent the spread of misinformation and protect their users in the same sense.
Okay.
Are there any more questions, guys? Anything you would like to add or any questions for each other? Okay, so you would like to go ahead with a closing argument, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So, should I start or?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. Our society, one of democracy, truth, and free speech, was built on paper, a medium so free and so vast that everyone could express their opinions. This paper has built the freedoms we enjoy today. But sadly, due to technological development, we are moving to a new medium, which is our internet. Therefore, if there are any regulations in mass media, our society, like the thoughts which constructed it will fall. And I would like to say one final point. Friends, if the people are not heard, they are killed. Thank you.
May I go ahead?
Yes, please.
In our rapidly evolving digital age, social media platforms have become the epicenter of political discourse and communication. As such, it is of paramount importance that these platforms take on the crucial responsibility of regulating public advertising. By doing so, we can not only protect the sanctity of our democratic processes, but also empower citizens with the knowledge and tools necessary to make the well-informed decisions that shape our collective future. The consequences of inaction are dire. The unchecked spread of misinformation and manipulative tactics in political advertising can lead to a deeply polarized society, where trust in our democratic institutions erodes and the very foundation of our democracy is threatened. By allowing social media platforms to become a breeding ground for such practices, we are inadvertently undermining the democratic principles we hold dear. However, by implementing robust regulatory frameworks for political advertising, social media can become a force for good. They can serve as a catalyst for enlightened, engaged, and informed public, fostering a healthier political discourse and a more inclusive and unified society. This is not just a responsibility, but a call to action for these platforms to step up their game and fulfill their responsibility. In conclusion, it is time to recognize the potential social media platforms hold in safeguarding our democracy. By regulating political advertising, these platforms can not only restore trust in the digital ecosystem, but also ensure that our democratic processes remains vibrant, resilient, and truly representative of the people. That's it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for your arguments. You both gave really good points, and it was good hearing them. For Arjun, I would like to say that he could probably add more stats like Purvi did in his starting arguments, and maybe make it a bit longer. Though I really liked his body language, it made me believe that the argument shouldn't be there, the regulation shouldn't be there. And as for Purvi, I think she could have added more steps. How could be prevented? What steps the government could have taken, and what they have taken. This goes for Arjuna as well, how it has backfired. Government taking those regulations. This could have been added. So I think the winner should be Purvi, though it's just my thinking. She made really good points, and it was well structured.
Thank you so much for your feedback. I'll definitely implement those.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Pooja. This is I've met the stipulated criteria for the certificates. So
Yeah,
as of today,
just that since we aren't following any rules here. So since Purvi was making a bit longer arguments, you could have followed that, but it's fine. That's not the main point. The examples could have been added though. Yeah.
yeah, I'm completely fine with the result of this. I'm just there in the chat, Discord chat. There's a mentioning if you go for 5 consecutive debates, you'll get some certificate. So I
Yeah.
met the stipulated time. So you
Yeah.
know,
All right then. It's fine. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining in. You can leave now.
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.